We are surrounded by colour. We live in a colourful world. The different archangels have got different colour rays attributed to them. And then you've got Metatron at the top, who is just sort of like the whole rainbow. In terms of colour energies and angelic frequencies, the pink ray is the ray that just helps soften everything down so that you have a chance to let the light in. It only takes a couple of drops of nectar and healing elixir and the angel's touch to make the space within our self and our life feel more abundant and that we can breathe again. But we have to just allow the energy in. Welcoming in the energy of Chamuel comes in on the pink ray. This pink ray meets your heart energy where it is with no judgment. It just brings in love.
There are so many people who want to connect with guides or the archangels. How would you advise people to be able to connect?
In terms of connecting to the archangels, more than anything, it's about...
So welcome everybody to the Heart Coherence Collaborative. It is so good to be back with you all.
Well,
right? We've definitely missed you all. And so we want to let you know that today is the opening ceremony to our Heart Coherence Challenge, and the official Heart Coherence Challenge will start on Saturday. But for the next 2 days, we have a bunch of fun events to dive us into the heart space. And about a couple months ago, we reached out to our collaborative and we asked them if they recommend anybody. And we got thousands of responses, but many, many people recommended Amanda Ellis. And so it's truly an honor to have you here with us. Everyone was saying, you have to have Amanda on, you have to have Amanda on. So it's so amazing that you're going to be here with us, helping us kick off this beautiful 10-day event. Thank you.
Okay, yes. Well, first thing is it's a great honor to actually start this all off. I know you've got your opening ceremony later today as well. But I thought it might be a good idea just to start by talking a little bit about the portal that is opening with these 10 days and all of the speakers that you're going to be listening to and hearing from. And sometimes when there is a big opportunity for growth and heart expansion, it can bring up a lot of vulnerability. And you might find that there might be some sort of physical little ailments that might be playing up. And I've noticed that myself today with me coming in to prepare for this. And I knew that it was energetic. And one of the things that I wanted to do with you today is talk about Archangel Chamuel. And Archangel Chamuel comes in on the pink ray. And the pink ray, even though it's about many wondrous things, and I'd like to take you through a heart expanding and opening meditation later, pink also requires us to maybe be a little bit vulnerable, to be vulnerable enough to actually open up our hearts, to maybe receive the help that we know we want, but for whatever reason we might have been blocking to some degree. So I thought that could be a good place to start, just to maybe have a moment before these 10 days properly start to think about where you are at the start line, as it were, of this whole experience, and how you've also been feeling in the run up to it, because absolutely when you sign up for something, the energy already starts to happen and make the changes that you're going to see over this time period. So, yeah, I don't know whether anybody else has just been feeling a little bit vulnerable or, but if you have, it's good. And actually, it's required to get us to that place of, as I say, opening the heart. So, does that resonate with you, Kyle and Leah?
yes, I raised my hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like lately, and maybe you could speak to like the energy that's happening and what your guides are saying about the energy. I'm seeing a lot of people in my life just having like massive, massive shifts, and they're intense, you know.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's very much the times that we're in, isn't it? But do you know, one thing that I have observed by sitting in Archangel Chamuel's energy today, and as I say, this pink ray of love, which pink is about love, is how unconsciously, and it is unconsciously, sometimes we harden ourselves to the help that's actually there. And I think particularly when there are big awakening moments, as there might be for people that are having what Archangel Metatron calls wake-up calls, it's a natural reaction to sort of go into almost like a defense type posture. If you think about it, if you get a piece of unsettling news, whether it's personal or in the collective, we take a protective stance. And what that does is it tends to close us up energetically. So I have really found today, and preparing for speaking to you, very much being about just unfolding, unraveling, surrendering, opening. And all of that actually requires a degree of strength, because if we've been in a more defensive position, and that might be for very good reason, because we don't maybe feel safe in the world at the moment, with all the changes that are going on, all of the things that are being revealed, everything that's falling away, or something that's happening in our personal life. I think it's just very human to have these moments where we just feel a little bit vulnerable. So the first thing I'd like to ask Archangel Chamuel to do is just to come in for us as a group, and make their presence felt. Now, and I'll do that in one moment, but the one thing I also wanted to say about Chamuel, I don't know how many people actually do work with their energy. The angels are neither masculine or feminine, really, but I do have always felt that Chamuel has a more feminine energy, and that ties in with this sort of pink ray of love as well. So, if I may, I'm just going to bring their energy in, and hopefully, this isn't going to hurt your headphones if you're wearing any. It's just a very gentle little bell that I've got, which I think sounds gorgeous. And then we will just acknowledge the energy that's here. So, welcoming in the energy of Chamuel, comes in on the pink ray, and is here to help us to restore harmony within ourselves, within the relationships that we have with others, including the relationship that we have with ourselves. Also bringing in an energy of peace. And more than anything, I'd just like you to feel that energy as it comes in around you. And the pink ray comes in from the higher chakras and just settles wherever it wants to settle, to bring you into a receptive state where you can just soften and allow some stillness to enter the body, so that this energy can reach you where it needs to reach you, at a level that is right for you, in a way that is right for you. And we just welcome in Chamuel and the energy of love. And I'd really just like you to take a breath with me. And we're going to breathe in the energy of love. And we're going to breathe out the energy of love. Breathing in the energy of love. Breathing out the energy of love. Becoming love. Being love. Living from love. Holding love. Love for ourselves. Love for each other. Love for this world. And love for the angelic realm that is always there to call on. We just need to remember that they are there. And so, if your eyes are closed, you might just want to open them now. But I would just like to say something also about the archangels generally. And many of you might know that I work a lot with Archangel Metatron. It's one of my main guides, that and the energy of Jesus, or Jesus as a guide. And when I was invited to speak to you today, a few months ago, I think I sort of wrote an email quite quickly, sort of saying yes, and I think we could talk about Archangel Chamuel and bring Chamuel in. And then as the weeks followed, I thought, I wonder why. I wonder why I suggested that. Because why didn't I suggest Metatron or Jesus or somebody else? But I really think Chamuel's energy is overlooked, actually. I think it's a very overlooked angelic frequency. I think I have overlooked it also in my own life. And I think it ties into the fact that whether we are physically busy in our lives, I must admit I am, and we can rush around a lot doing things, and there's always things to do, or whether you're just busy in your mind, it's almost as though we are not creating a space for this very soft, gentle energy that wants to come in. And I think it's probably fair to say that love as an energy sometimes can go unnoticed in the world. And I'm talking about in the little actions, mannerisms, a smile, just an act of kindness. And I think what Chamuel is asking us to do is just to bring it much more into the forefront of our day-to-day lives, to try to show love to each other in any way that we can, just in the small things. My husband today was stopped by, I think it was somebody who was waving down cars in the street near us. And I don't know, somebody had had a accident. We didn't see it, but John, of course, went straight to help them. He wouldn't have thought not to, and I'm sure most of you would be the same. But there's so many circumstances in life where I think we can make a difference. And when we're acting from love, we're acting from the place of this pink ray, but also obviously from our heart energy. The other thing I feel guided to say is that I suspect that many of you are empaths. I'm sure many of you are highly sensitive. And as such, because we care about others, we care about the world, we care about our clients, however, our family, etc., we can often forget the love that we need for ourselves and the time that we need for ourselves. And I think more than anything, what Chamuel is wanting to bring into this session today is just to allow this gentle peace into your life in a bigger way. So any wounding linked into unworthiness, or that somehow I don't deserve, everybody else's needs are above mine. I just think these 10 days are very sacred for you to really have this space. And I'd like to feel that Archangel Chamuel's energy starting off proceedings just ripples out as this sort of beautiful pink ribbon, pink ray of light through the whole 10 days as a foundation energy from which you can grow. So those are the first things that are coming to me. I'm also a good one. I like to sort of give practical tips and tools. And for whatever reason, I mean, I've come on today, you can't see them very well, but I'm decked out in rose quartz. Of course, I'm sure many of us will be using crystals to amplify our own frequency and energy. And of course, rose quartz is a brilliant crystal to open up our hearts, make it feel safe. But there is another crystal that I have overlooked. It doesn't look much on camera. In fact, you probably can't even see it very well, but it's actually called petalite. Petalite. And I looked up what the meaning of petalite is. And it comes from, just look at my notes, it comes from Greece. And the word is petalon, which means leaf. And if we think of the heart chakra as being, as I'm sure many of you often have done, like this beautiful rose where the petals need to be opening up more to receive more, to generate more and a higher frequency. I just think this may very well be a useful tool. So this was one that was sent to me months ago. It's the only piece that I have in my home. I don't know how easy it is to get petalite. I'm not selling it. I just felt drawn to bring it to your attention because, again, there's something here about it being an overlooked thing. Everybody straight away with crystals, if you talk about the pink ray, they go to rose quartz. Something here again about something being overlooked. And it's a very almost insignificant looking crystal, really. It's quite chalky. But I think it fits the flow of what I'm really trying to talk about today, which is don't overlook the power of the small things, of the frequency of love for yourself, and to make sure that you're filling up your own cup. And I feel as though Chamuel today is coming to help us fill up our cup more, open our hearts more. And I also feel as though there's a bit of a surprise. It's an energy of you don't know where love can take you, the frequency of love. So those are my first thoughts, Kyle. I don't know whether you had any specific questions or whether you wanted me to flow into a meditation. I'm really happy to take it wherever it wants to go with this session, or if anyone else has any questions for me.
Our mission here at the Heart Coherence Collaborative is to get people in touch with the healing power of the heart.
And we really need your help. Right now, only 1% of viewers subscribe. We are aiming to take that number to 6%.
The reason why we want to do that is the more people that subscribe, the more people in the world can learn the magical practice of heart coherence.
So please help us out. If you've ever listened, if you love this message, please just take a moment to subscribe.
Thank you so much. We love you.
We love you.
Yeah,
I have something I would love to talk about. I really loved the video you did about addiction recently.
Thank you.
A few days ago. And I think it's so important to talk about because it's the thing that really blocks you from love. And so sometimes I feel like the most useful things are what you take away, even rather than what you're adding. So I could sit here and listen to you probably talk about all of that for an hour, but whatever the most important things that you think you could talk about relating to addiction and what it does to love.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a week, and I know not everybody will have seen the video we're talking about, but I did a video on addiction, and I said at the outset that I believe that we're all addicts of some degree. If it's not to alcohol or drugs, it can be to lots of other things, overspending, vaping, attention seeking. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Caffeine, sugar, and none of us are perfect. We're all a work in progress. But in retrospect, I'm glad I did the video and brought the information through, which was really to try to just help us to look at ourselves with regards to any dysfunctional pattern or obsessive behavior or anything that's lowering us, because addiction is something that lowers us by nature. And once it's acknowledged and we can start to discuss it and own it, half of the battle is there. And obviously, there's more that's required. But I hadn't appreciated how much resistance there was to the message going out. Maybe it's a good job I didn't, to be honest. But in retrospect, I realized that it brought up a lot of fear, a lot of denial energy. And, we all have something that we need to be working on, myself included. I always put myself in the equation, that I'm not perfect. I've got things I always have to work on too. But, I really feel like this missing ingredient, although I was trying to speak, obviously, from my heart and from a place of love. I think the next video I do will be more about maybe if I'd opened people's hearts up a little bit more at the start, maybe there wouldn't have been the resistance. I see that now. So, but then again, it doesn't really matter in what order you do things. It's just as long as you get the healing. So Metatron, who is one of my guides, who has got a bit of a sense of humor, is showing me the energy of trying to crack a walnut. And sometimes it's quite hard to crack the outer surface because we've put up our walls and our protection and our defense mechanism goes into high gear. But I truly believe that in terms of color energies and angelic frequencies also, that the pink ray is the ray that just helps soften everything down. So that you have a chance to, as Leonard Cohen sang, to let the light in, you know. So yeah, it's been quite a learning curve there, but also extraordinary to hear people's honesty when they have been able to be vulnerable about what it is they've been working on, or they still are a work in progress, or even people coming in and saying, I couldn't watch it, I walked away from it, and I realize now why I did. All of that takes great strength and vulnerability, actually. So in terms of colors, pink is one of those rays which doesn't have a lot of negatives associated with it. If you think about red, there are some very obvious, more challenging aspects of red, for example, anger or frustration, etc. But with pink, because it is so much about love, it's less challenging in terms of the counter energies, but one that is there is this thing about vulnerability. And I think we live in a society that doesn't allow us a lot of the time to be vulnerable. And the days that we're in, I mean, I talk as well often about, you know, trying to get into that type warrior type spirit and energy, you know, to tackle the world, because often that is how it feels, that we've got to put, you know, our armor on and just get out there. But all of that is fine and good. But where does softness come in? Where does vulnerability come in? Where can we share? And of course, we can in groups such as these, which is why it's so valuable. But yeah, with regards to addiction, I mean, there are many reasons for any person becoming addicted to anything. But I've always been shown by the angels that effectively what it's doing is it's covering up what I call the God-shaped hole, you know? And usually it's in the center of the stomach, the solar plexus. And so we try and fill it, whether it's with food, whether it's with things that we're buying, whether it's with drink, whatever it is. And to just allow yourself a moment and a breath to just maybe acknowledge what might be out of balance in your life is very powerful. And then just to be vulnerable enough to allow Archangel Chamuel to come in to say, it's okay, you can change, I can help you. Now, the video I did, obviously, we were also talking with regards to Jesus, Kali Ma, and Metatron, but really all of the ascended masters, all of the angels, they're all there to help us with these very difficult, challenging issues that we have and our wounds. So I always say the pink ray can never do harm. It can never do harm, which might sound a bit weird, but if you think about, as I say again, a situation like red can be too much. It can be just too much, you know. If you've got, for example, I don't know, high blood pressure or you're angry, you wouldn't put more red on to try to, you know, heal. But whereas with pink, the main problem is that I'm being shown again by the angels the analogy of, it's a bit like sometimes we can be like a very dry sponge, and we've forgotten that actually as a sponge we are porous, and it only takes a couple of drops of nectar and healing elixir and the angel's touch to plump up and to make the space within our self and our life feel more abundant and that we can breathe again. But we have to just allow the energy in. So what I'm seeing in my mind's eye now as I'm talking to you is a doorway. And it might just be interesting if you close your eyes for one moment and just without any judgment, just purely from an observational perspective, take a look at the gateway or the door that is around the entrance to your heart. Now, it might be wide open in terms of, yes, 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 more, more, more. But I suspect in most of us, it's open to a degree, but not to the full degree it could be. Maybe because of past wounding, past life issues, just feeling reserved. Loss is a huge one, of course, when we've lost somebody or we've lost something and we have grief, the heart can contract. But just take a look at the gateway and the door and just observe the position it's at the start of these 10 days. And if you will, just see the keyhole, see there is a key there, and just allow the door to open a little bit further to the degree that you're comfortable with allowing it to be so. And with that being done, just allow this pink energy to flow in, very soft, very gentle, very compassionate, very tender. And this pink ray meets your heart energy where it is, with no judgment. It just brings in love to the center of your being, to the places where you felt pain, to the places where you would like more joy, more happiness, more contentment. Just allow that pink ray to come into the chambers of the heart and allow it in to the degree that is comfortable for you. And take a deep breath in, breathing in the pink, breathing out the pink, and welcoming Archangel Chamuel deep into this sacred vessel within the body, which is the heart chakra. And the angelic frequency brings peace, brings recognition of all that you are, all that you have been, and all that you can be. It encourages you to keep growing, to keep evolving, to keep loving no matter what. And as we breathe in this pink ray and we acknowledge Chamuel's presence, we ask for the frequency within our body to be raised, for the love energy to flow to all parts of the body that need it, to places where there may be aches, muscle strains, problems with the skeleton and the bones, muscular issues. Just allow that pink ray to come in and just soften the body. And as the body starts to soften, the heart can soften. The body and the heart as one. The spiritual, the physical as one, bathed in this pink ray. The cells opening up to the pink ray of love. The chakra system being infused with the pink ray of love. This feeling, this frequency is always available to you. Chamuel is here. Chamuel will come every time you call their name. Chamuel, Chamuel, Chamuel. Bringing wellness, bringing wholeness, bringing harmony, bringing peace. Soft peace. And then allow that energy that is centered in the heart and flowing around your body to fill the aura above you, underneath you, behind you, in front of you, to your left-hand side, to your right-hand side, surrounded in angelic frequency, pink ray of love. You are home. You are loved. You are divinely loved. You always have been, and you always will be. Know that. Acknowledge that. Honor that. And then taking a breath in, allow that pink energy to flow down into your feet, down into Mother Earth, down into the rooting system underneath you, feeling the foundation and the platform upon which you sit or stand, becoming bigger, stronger, held by the vibration of love. And with Chamuel here, very close to you now, allow any message that he has for you to form within your heart a knowingness of what this Archangel is bringing to you. It may be a word, it may be a name, it may be a gift, it may be a healing frequency. Whatever it is, receive it now. And with that, and with that knowingness, we take one more deep breath in and out. We move our feet, wriggle our toes, our fingers, our thumbs, take a deep breath in and out, and open our eyes.
Thank you. You know, I was sitting here reflecting as you were guiding that beautiful meditation. And, you know, we don't know you, we've never met you before, but for some reason, like divinely, you were somehow placed that to be the person that opens this whole event. And I couldn't think of a more perfect opening than to invite in Archangel Chamuel. And so thank you for that. That was amazing. And
Pleasure, pleasure.
for everyone that's new here, feel free to write in what came to you at the very end of that meditation for guidance. I'd love to see what everybody had come through. But, you know, for everyone who's new, for the next 10 days, starting on Saturday, we are going to be going into the heart space every single day, doing a practice called Heart Coherence. So we breathe rhythmically through the heart, we warm up that heart center, and then we access elevated emotions like gratitude, appreciation, joy, love, bliss. And when you do this for a long enough time, it can really change you. And it's changed me and it's helped, you know, Leah. And we're really passionate about this stuff. So we're really excited to have everyone here with us trying this. Please give it just trust us and really trying this practice. And the one question I had for you, Amanda, because you're the first person I've ever talked to that really works with color therapy.
Yes.
If you could just speak a little bit about color therapy, because I'm really curious about it. Just the way you speak about the color pink, it's really amazing to hear your passion, and it lights me up. And I would just be
Oh,
curious if there's any ways, additional ways that we can make sure we're anchoring that color of pink throughout this challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am passionate about color. It's actually how I found the Archangels as well. It's how I started off my work was color therapy. So I am very passionate about it. Um, how to incorporate it. I mean, what I just took you through in terms of just a short meditation was obviously about envisaging it and visualizing it around yourself and through you. But color breathing is also a very important and useful tool, which doesn't just have to be pink. Of course, another color linked into the heart is green. And it is exactly what it says it is. It is visualizing and sensing with all of your senses, breathing in a color and breathing out a color so that it doesn't have to necessarily fill you, but it goes to where it's needed. And when I say using all your senses, for example, if you were breathing in the color green, you could also be using the sense of smell to picture yourself in the deepest forest or something, a very lush landscape where we have a lot of that in England. So, the green hills and all that type of thing. So smelling the grass and the forest, seeing the color, imagining the color, but more than anything, just noting the difference when you breathe in one color and how that feels to how it feels when you breathe in another one. Does that make sense? The other thing, of course, is I always say that our color choices are subconscious a lot of the time. So the colors that we choose to put on in the morning say something about us. I have deliberately worn this today. I don't think my camera's showing, but it is actually pink and red. But take a look at your wardrobe. One of the techniques that I was asked to do when I first started learning about color was see if you can wear just one color for, I don't know, a couple of days, or no more than a couple of days, for a week. I mean, it's really, really hard to do because it isn't about the clothing, it's about the frequency within the clothing. And there is, you will feel different when you wear one color as opposed to when you wear another color. In the same way that if you go into a blue room, you will feel different to being in a red room. So I would really just like you to be very open to the colors that you're noticing through these 10 days. Because I also work with the frequency of Archangel Metatron, I'm going to just bring one other color in, which is orange, which I know is maybe a color that you think, well, I don't really see a lot of that in everyday life. If you are tuning into me with the Metatron frequency, which I suspect some of you are, because I say Metatron is like this umbrella energy that brings in the other archangels. I'm just going to say to you, just notice the colors you are noticing more than normal. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit of more orange, and I think you're definitely going to see more pink. But equally, you can obviously bring that into your life as well consciously. But it can also just be in noticing the sunset, or I don't know. I just feel that you're going to see color in a new way, in a different way. So color breathing would be one. Obviously, using color crystals, color sprays would be one. Um, I must just show this because it's not on camera. And my husband went and bought me these today for this specific, look at that rose. He bought me this beautiful bunch of roses, but can you feel the frequency of that? I mean, I just think that is extraordinary. So we are surrounded by color. We live in a colorful world. But again, most of the time we just don't really stop to, as they say, stop and smell the roses, stop and smell the coffee. So I want you to be just consciously tuning into the colors you're drawn to, the colors you're wearing. Take a look at your wardrobe, open it up, have a look at what the colors are in there. They will say something about where you energetically are at the moment. Yeah. And if you're opening up a wardrobe and it's all very dark colors, I would just gently nudge you and encourage you to just try to get some lighter tones and colors in there and see how it feels when you actually put a different color on when you're consciously doing it. Would be my guidance.
That was amazing.
Can you talk about how the colors or color therapy you were doing led you to the Archangels? I'd love to hear that story.
Yes, sure. Um, I, I about 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, I had my first baby, and I was in market research before that. And then I started to wanted to do something more holistic. And there was a color therapy course that I did, tied into a system called color mirrors at the time, which are made up of sort of coloured bottles, and they all had different meanings, and there was numerology linked into it. And there was one angelic frequency within that range at the time, and they had an Archangel Metatron bottle. And I stayed with Colour Mirrors for, I can't remember now, maybe quite a long time. It could have even been 8, 9 years. And I was a teacher of it, teaching how colour can heal and how to use it. But Archangel Metatron came in as this guide to me, and he was insistent that I make my own range of color therapy tools, which are sort of these sprays that lots of people know me for. This is the Archangel Chamuel one. But it was really only because Metatron was in that initial color therapy range that got me into looking at Metatron more, looking at color more. And then it just felt a natural progression to bring all of the other seven archangels in. I did actually just go back and check today, because I thought, if I'm going to be talking about Shamuel, is there a reference in the Bible to Shamuel? And no, there isn't. But Shamuel does appear within certain ancient Jewish texts. For example, the Kabbalah has Shamuel on the Tree of Life, on one of the Seratoph, linked into strength. So, yeah, it's a bit of a funny journey into why I started to do what I do now. But color was the entry point. And of course, we know that the different archangels have got different color rays attached to them as well, or attributed to them. And then you've got Metatron at the top, who is just sort of like the whole rainbow. There's no such thing as really as hierarchy in the angelic kingdom, but our human minds like to put one. So I guess you'd put Metatron as sort of like the head chief of the angelic kingdom, and then all these other beautiful archangels and cherubim, etc., around also. So I just love the way that everything weaves together. And I think color is a very unifying thing in many modalities.
Have your guides brought any messages through lately about like all the energy that's going on? That's kind of like any messages that have surprised you?
Do you know, if I'm honest with you, what I'm trying to do right now is to stay in the frequency of higher timeline,
Mm.
because I think probably most people around the world can look at the situation in our world, and it's really easy to get frightened and fearful with regards to what could happen, particularly with regards to the nature of war, which I think is a timeline that is there, but it's one that I'm choosing to try to not feed by focusing on it too much, if that makes sense, you know? So it's a difficult one. And I also, because I've worked with Metatron for so many years, he tends to be a quite ahead of the game. And what I mean by that is some of the stuff that I've said 5 years ago is sort of where we're at now, particularly with regards to Mother Earth and the changes that we're seeing with regards to climate, weather, whatever you want to call it, but just places becoming very difficult to live in, and of course in USA you're seeing that particularly, aren't you? So what Metatron always teaches me is to keep our eye on the horizon and keep it on the brightest horizon that we can see, which isn't about gaslighting and pretending that things aren't happening that are really difficult, whether it's politically, socially, or environmentally. But am a firm believer in terms of where we put our focus is what we can increase.
Mm.
And so I try to sort of talk in that type of language, if that makes sense, and follow that. But I'm also, I mean, a recent one, for example, I suppose that's come true, not really about coming true, is it? But is manifesting now, is sort of the fall of Hollywood, which I talked about a few years ago, and we're really seeing that now. And I just think as light workers, we've got to remain very conscious of what we're exposing ourselves to, what we're listening to, but more than anything, how we are reacting to anything that is out there. Because how we are reacting and the frequency we're holding is either helping the situation towards a better timeline or to circumnavigate something horrible that could happen, or we are just helping the more negative, lower timeline to lock in place. I'm a glass half full girl.
Hmm.
Thank you.
I feel like there are so many people who want to connect with guides or the archangels. When you were going through the process, do you feel like it's something that happened to you or something that you very directly facilitated? And if so, how would you advise people
Hmm.
to be able to connect if they're looking to do that, which I think so many people are?
I believe that everybody can connect, absolutely. I believe that some people find it a little bit easier to tune in the radio station, is the way that I always explain it. I do believe in attunement energies, which really is about being in alignment to something or some being. So, as an example, with Metatron, it's about aligning to that energy. How did it happen to me? I mean, looking back on it, I've always had an interest in the archangels. So it's like chicken and egg. What came first, really? I'm not sure. Because I do think if you want to work with a guide for the right reasons, and for the highest good, not from a place of ego, from a place of humbleness, I think any guide will work with us. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, why are we wanting to work with that particular guide? Or why are we being called to that particular guide? With Metatron, I had an experience when I was learning how to be a healer in 2007 when I was attuned to his energy in a workshop type setting. And I was lying down on the floor, and I have never felt anything like it really before or since. It was just so extreme. It was as though I was pinned to the floor, but not in a scary, horrible way. It was just this overwhelming feeling of love, is the only way I can describe it, which just sank into every single pore and cell of my body. And I remember I was lying on the floor for about 45 minutes, and not everybody else had the same experience, is also the other thing to say, because everyone's different. But for me, on that day, I stood up and I remember thinking, I know it's real now. I know it's real now. But I'm very clairsentient, so I sense things. So it was a very deep sensory experience. But in terms of connecting to the archangels, for example, or any of the guides, I believe it's a case of calling them in. And more than anything, it's about persistence and perseverance. You know, my connection with, for example, Metatron, I've consciously worked with it since 2007. So it hasn't happened overnight. And I think I'm not saying you've got to wait that long. I'm just saying that I think sometimes within the spiritual community, not just the spiritual community, I think society generally has this attitude that we can just sort of take something, pick something, buy something, and hey presto, we can do it. And of course we can't. You know, mastery, which effectively is what we're talking about, requires commitment, perseverance, and days where you sit there and you think, I'm not getting anything, you know, and then other days where you get a lot. So more than anything, to me, it's about building a relationship. That word relationship is really important. Building a relationship with your guides and valuing it and honoring it, which means connecting with them, communicating with them regularly. I don't go around every day talking out loud to Metatron, but he's in my head. There is a dialogue that's going on a lot of the time, whether it's asking for help, saying thank you is also really important, I believe. You know, having gratitude. And when you get signs, however small the sign may be, or you get a message, I really teach that it's so important to thank your guide. thank the sign, thank the message, whether it's be something that you read in a book, which is an answer to prayer, it's a song that comes on the radio, it's an angel feather in the garden, it's something that somebody says, it's something that you receive as a download in meditation. It really is about you know, it's the two-way relationship, I think, is very, very important. That's sort of what I've always it's the path I've always followed anyway. And I suspect the main guides that I've worked with have been with me a long time. As the people watching me now, their guides will have been them with them a long time. And the one thing I will say to you is that sometimes we're not aware that they have been around for so long. So, for example, because I do training helping people to tune to Metatron, but the point is that often people say, after they've been attuned, it's like, oh, that's what it was. Oh my God, I recognize the feeling. I just hadn't put two and two together to realize it was maybe this guide. But also, it's who you're drawn to, you know. Over the years, Mother Mary is also one of my guides. And I think somebody did once say to me, oh, do you know you've got Mother Mary as a guide? But the thing is, then that was just confirmation of what I really knew, because I'd always been interested. I'd always been attracted to that energy, you know. So look at your interests, look at where your attention is going, whether it's an ancient Egyptian thing, whether it's Hindu type goddess energy, whether it is Christ consciousness. But I believe they're all there for us. It's just what we are choosing to work with and call in. So I do think we have a degree where we can call them in. But I also think sometimes if you're meant to do a lot of work with them, they will sort of come knocking as well and nudge you, you know, they'll nudge you.
One question I always have for people who have been channeling a long time is I'm just so fascinated, like, what was that like for you to be doing that about 20 years ago when not really many people were channeling? Was it, yeah, like,
It, it,
what was your
yeah,
reference point to know what was happening for you?
it was challenging. I Yeah, it was challenging. That back in those days, 20 years ago, if you had a show of hands in terms of who believes in angels, you'd get a few like me, but nobody was really like, yeah, me. Or I used to do talks and it was like, who's heard of Metatron? You'd get a couple of people saying, oh yeah, I have. It's totally different now. But the story that really illustrates it the best is that because I think this sometimes is the block for people, because when we come out, as it were, with regards to our beliefs, it can really challenge maybe family members or, you know, partners. And for me, it really showed up particularly with my father. You know, it was that thing about having to come out to dad and sort of say, right, well, I'm stopping the successful marketing career now, you know, and I'm not going to be what you think I am. I'm going to become an angel therapist or a color therapist. And he was like, what are you going on about? You know, and he didn't understand it. I think to this day, he probably still doesn't understand it, but he does respect it because he sees that I've, you know, I've made a go of it, as it were. But I have every sympathy for people that have that cold dread thought that, you know, I've got to come out and say to Auntie Jean that this is what I do. You know, it is better than it was, but yeah, it's been a path that's been carved by many of the people here, I'm sure, as well. I think sometimes you just got to go for it, and equally when you are aligned, remember, I was talking about attunement and aligned, you can't not. You can't not follow the path to be authentic and real and true to yourself. So, but again, that strength of being able to get out there and do it, I think is divinely sent. And the one thing I also believe is that you will never be put in a situation that you can't cope with. You'll never be sent somebody, for example, to heal that you can't make a difference to. Note that I said make a difference to, because as a healer, we can't necessarily always heal everybody, because it's not just about what we do, it's about what the person coming to the healing is doing and what their soul contract is. So you're given the strength. And one other little tidbit and piece of advice I would give is that one of the best things that was said to me years ago when I was very fearful about doing this work and what were people going to say and were people going to laugh? And yet, sometimes people do laugh. But somebody said, I think it was Metatron, he just says, he said, get out of the way, Amanda. Get out of the way. It's not about you. It's about the people that you are meant to be reaching. And that always has stayed with me. And I think if we just remember that, and really, I suppose that comes down to humbleness, doesn't it? And contract. And it's like, it's not about you. And I still get nervous sometimes doing things, and I will still say that to myself. I'll remind myself of that. It's not about you, Amanda. Just get out there and do whatever you're being asked to do. But again, coming back to Pink and Chamuel, it's easier to do that when we are compassionate with ourselves and don't judge ourselves for having those very human fears and frailties and vulnerability that we all have. Because ultimately, most people want to be liked and not laughed at. But I think as a tribe and as a community, and of course the new generations coming in with so many spiritual skills and just natural abilities with regards to empathy, sensitivity, etc., it's getting easier. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Do you have a message for our group as we're embarking on these 10 days of getting in touch with our heart, either that you can feel now or that's something from the past that you think would be a good and applicable message to send us off with?
I think you've actually got a very highly evolved crew here. I can see some of you, by the way. Hello. No, I do genuinely feel that you've got a really impressive tribe around you who are here to, when I say do the work, in there's a thing in the UK where maybe it's the same phrase in America. You take your car in for an MOT, an inspection. And it's as though we're really being called to examine the nuts and bolts and what isn't quite working, what is, would, when I say fail the test, what I mean by that is this next stage of our path that we're on, we need to be in the most optimum frequency and ideally health that we can be. So I think I'm hearing Metatron say this love is coming in a bit like a scrubbing brush as well. I really felt that's what I was feeling today. Without going into all the details, I felt very sensitive in my stomach area. And I thought, what is this? But I'm realizing now it's like a detox type energy. So be aware of that. I think, we're working on our heart, and that's brilliant. But the heart needs to be living in as healthy a body as we can make it. Now, not everybody has got perfect health, but it's just trying to make our machine, our body, the best temple that it can be for the heart that is sitting within it, which is wanting to take us to the next level. So we're back to maybe looking at what we're doing that is, if it's not an addiction, it still might be something that isn't really to our most optimum health, So I think it's a bit of a time for cleanup, upgrade, surprise. I think there will be some rewards along the way for your community here, because I really believe that Spirit right now is seeing the people that are really trying. I really believe that. I got a beautiful email from somebody this morning, and they said to me, and it's not just me, it's people like you and these people watching. They said, thank you for doing the heavy lifting right now. And I really appreciated that, because it does feel a bit heavy. But if we can all do it together, it makes it lighter. And that's ultimately what we're here to do, isn't it? To lighten the load for everybody, the wider collective, and ourselves.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for joining us. I would love to know how our audience can support you. I also want to know about the cool sprays. I'm feeling really called to get that Chamuel spray.
I'm going to send you a couple of sprays off camera if you give me your address. Yeah, the sprays are great. I mean, they're all the colors of the rainbow. This is the Archangel Chamuel spray for love and peace, reconciliation, and sorry, not. I've got my contact lenses. I can't read it. It says relationship support, not reconciliation.
Silly.
But yeah, the sprays have got within them essential oils, crystal essence. They're activated on sacred geometry, blessed water, but more than anything, they're color healing products. This one, for example, it's got rose, pink pepper, cinnamon, and vanilla in it. It smells up. I'm going to spray this, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to spray it, because when I spray these on my channel, people tell me that they can smell it across the screen. Now, don't worry if you can't. It's not a test. But I can say with regularity, I get people saying, "Oh my God, I'm in New York. You've just sprayed that. I can smell whatever it is." And that's because it's energy. Energy travels. They're energy products. But yeah, my YouTube channel is Amanda Ellis. Thank you. And my shop is called Angelic Celestial Colors, which is a terrible mouthful, I know, but it's what I was told to call it years ago.
Awesome.
I love this so much. I loved your message that you sent us off with. And I think, like I said, I'm not sure why there was even controversy about there being an announcement that most of us are addicts. I think I don't know a single person who isn't addicted to their phone or social media.
No, exactly.
Even people who are sober, they're addicted to something, food,
Yeah,
that. So I love that message. And I think, again, if we can think about what we're taking away, it's easier to get in touch with our heart and how we want to be in our life. So
absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a more perfect start. And just thank you again for inviting in Archangel Chamuel. I can feel his energy. That was a blessing. And to everyone listening, Leah and I are here to serve you for the 10 days. So email us. I actually forget our email, coherencetrainers@gmail.com. If you need anything, we want to be here for you. And we really encourage you to dive in every day with these heart coherence meditations and listen to as many of our guests as possible. We love you all, and we're excited to be with you for these next few days. Thank you, Amanda.
thank you.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.